See, we are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Ann Pillsbury, and welcome to Pivot on Purpose, my new series where I'll be meeting with women weekly, talking about a pivot in their lives to be more purposeful. I was recently at a great event in New York City called the Menopause Symposium. And there were so many cool, amazing women over 40 doing amazing things, aging boldly. And I wanted to continue those conversations. So that's the purpose of these weekly lives. And I immediately thought of Hardie Cobbs, who I met on social like a year ago. We actually haven't met in person yet, even though we live in Seattle. And Hardie is a certified style coach, an artist, a designer, and the founder of A Year in Style. After battling breast cancer, Hardie pivoted from an artist to a certified style coach and founded A Year in Style, which is a brand she created to help women embrace midlife confidence. So amazing. So tell me a little bit about your pivot story. How did this happen? Where you were before, your moment of inspiration?
Yeah, my moment of inspiration was definitely a moment. It just was like a black and white kind of thing. I've been an artist my whole life, and about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that weird time where you have cancer, but you don't know what it is, and you have to wait for everyone to do all the tests. You really go through a lot because you're thinking, uh-oh, like, is this it? Is this really the time? And I had this just my whole body stopped, and it just said, if this is it for you, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And I just had this epiphany that there's something else I was supposed to do. And so through treatment and all that, all these people every day taking care of me, I thought, this is what you do every day. You take care of people. You help me stay alive. You help all these people. And I thought it was so profound for me that I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to serve. So I knew I wanted to serve, and then kind of just did the deep dive and found that I was aging. I had so many surgeries and medicines and stuff, and I was really just starting to feel like I look in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself. And I thought, gosh, surely there's somebody who could help me age. I didn't want to fight it, but I also just wanted to do it well. And, things just happen to you. And I thought, I just want someone to say, an older person say, hey, this is what's about to happen. And I couldn't find anyone. So I thought, you know what? I am going to be that. I'm going to be the solution to my problem. So I became a style coach. I got certified in London. There was a program there. And then I've been working ever since. So.
Yeah, I think there is that element of calling, which is so, it sounds so woo, but I think that we really, especially at I think kind of in the second half, I hear women talk about it all the time. And that's how I started to be a coach too. I just got this calling that it was something I was meant to do. And then when you get that feeling, that calling, it's kind of easy to take, it makes it easier to take action because there's kind of like, in your bones, like what you're supposed to do. And it's just a matter of having the courage to take that.
I agree. It's not, I'm not a woo person, but you do feel, I explain to people, it's almost like you're in flow, you're in this, you don't even think about it, you just have to do it. You wake up every day and you just have to do what it is that you're doing. And I think that's when you just have found that thing you're calling at that moment, that you need to do. So.
Yeah. So I want to circle back to that because you have some interesting things to talk about, with purpose and life and stuff like that. And I want to circle back to that. But I first want to ask if there was any specific challenges or opportunities at doing this pivot, at 50 or 45 or whatever you were at the time. When you're not 25, right?
Yeah, I think it's when I was doing that, I thought, can I do this? Can I go back and get education? By the time one avenue, because I really did do a deep dive. Because I was an artist and I wanted to serve, I've always had an interest in art therapy. Mm-hmm. And so I really I went down that path, and I looked, and once I did the math, I would have been like 68 years old before I could practice. And that's sort of hard. That was
Yeah.
sort of hard to think that's probably not something I should be doing because, I don't want to spend all this time. I actually want to get in there and serve. And so I think that was challenging. When
Mhm.
you're at this midpoint, yes, you still have, I always say it's midway. You still have
Right.
so much more of life. But if you have to go back to school and get certified and all this kind of stuff, that, you
And
know,
build a business.
and
Yeah.
build a business and all that. I just kind of thought, I just knew I was going to run into too many obstacles on that one. But yeah, that was my biggest obstacle, I think.
Yeah. So, in our kind of pre-discussion, you talked about how your work helps women have inner and outer confidence. What
Yeah.
does that look like, and how does, the clothes you wear necessarily, or maybe that's not even what you're about. Like, how does your program work, and how does it contribute to those two things?
Yeah, so I really that my clients when they come to me, a lot of times they're empty nesters, or lately I've had a lot of people who are divorced, and they just the second half of their life they really just want to show up as their best selves. And I always explain to them I'm a style coach. I'm not a stylist. I mean, I have styling skills, but a stylist is just going to tell you, okay, you're a classic. Here are your 5 things you need to wear. Go off or whatever, and that's going to be outer confidence. But if you're not really your inner confidence, if you're not happy with where you are in life and how you're showing up and feeling like you're on purpose, then something's going to be missing. Or if you know where you're going, you really love your life and you have all that, but you don't know how to express your style, your outer confidence is low, then something's always going to be missing. So when I work with women, we find out first, where are you and where do you want to be? What pivot do you want to make? Where are you in life? But then also, how do you want to express yourself? So when those two come together, to me, that's the key to sort of aging gracefully and just being intentional and showing up every day as sort of your authentic self. So that's what I work on, is that inner and outer.
So, I mean, I'm just going to ask you, like, I am struggling. I keep my life's going good. I'm excited about my career. I'm excited about a lot of things, but I am really struggling with my changing body, and I don't even recognize myself. And it's really I mean, I can start to cry about it. It like brings up such shame and I don't know how to, just personally, like, I don't know how to work through that. How do you help? I would assume I'm not the only woman who feels that way.
Yeah, every woman feels that way. And you said the right word, shame. Everyone feels shame. And
Yeah.
it's such a bizarre feeling. We all feel it though. You look in the mirror and you feel shame that your body, the gravity has happened, or that
Yeah.
a lot of times women, their waist just expands. And
Yeah.
well, even if you're the same weight, the clothes don't fit so much. And it's such an interesting thing. But what I really I think the main thing people want to know is how to dress their changing body.
Yeah.
And so it's really a matter of knowing how to balance that body. How do you make yourself feel confident? I mean, which for someone, and I hesitate on saying that because the traditional way of dressing a woman is everyone needs to have that hourglass shape. So you make sure it's all in balance. And a lot of women do want that, but that's not always the desired thing. But it's what I always find out, what are your 3 favorite parts of your body? Not what do we want to camouflage, but what are your favorite parts? And when you start with that, and you really highlight that, like it might be your neck. I mean, right now both of us have our necks covered up a little bit.
My neck is probably not my favorite spot anymore.
Usually not, but or maybe it's that you like your shoulders or something. But when you think about what you really like rather than what you don't like, then you're going to start highlighting that. I mean, that's a little trick of just turning around the negative and making it the positive. A lot of women love their legs, so I'll say, let's wear skirts and let's show those legs. And so it's a matter of
I'm petite. I'm only 5'1". So I kind of, like the swing dress, the short swing dress is kind of my go-to thing.
Which is perfect. Yeah. And I think it's knowing your colors too. Our coloring changes. I mean, when I went gray, my coloring completely changed. Knowing your colors that make you feel just really, that are flattering, that make you feel like you're presenting yourself the way you want to. But it's a whole formula, I feel like, is just really understanding how you want to dress your body and how do you want to express yourself? What is your style? So
Yeah, it's funny because I also like I finally cleaned out my closet. Like, and I've got just piles and piles. I haven't quite taken them to donate yet, but I will.
Yeah,
And it's an emotional process to because they don't fit anymore. So there's no point in having them there making me feel bad
they
anymore.
make you feel bad. Yeah,
And I want things that fit so that I'm not when I go to my closet, I have something to put on. But I
exactly.
also do feel like, yeah, I kind of want like to be a little like, how can I add some pizzazz to my style at this age and phase? Like how might I shift? And I haven't really decided on that yet, but at least that's in my mind as I'm.
Well, you know what I tell people when I talk with them, if they don't, even if they don't work with me, I always say, here's the deal. This is the best exercise. If you go on Pinterest and put a timer on. I always say, make sure you put a timer on so you don't go down that rabbit hole. But go ahead and create a board. If you feel like a lot of us changed during COVID. And if you really think the way you want to express yourself is different, go on Pinterest and do a board and really start pulling items that kind of speak to you, that speak to your, I would love to wear that. And write in the caption, I love the color, or I love this
Mhm.
cut. And you all of a sudden start seeing this thread of ideas that you see like, oh, actually, you know what? I think I really love that color pink, or I really love this style pant. And then you just can start incorporating that. Next time you go to the store, try it on. You've got to go play around with it. Just got to try things on. But a Pinterest board is an easy, cheap way to just start understanding the style for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was scrolling on your Facebook feed this morning and I saw that you had a post about age ambassadors. What's an age ambassador? What is that? Tell me a little bit about your thoughts.
Yeah. So age ambassador. So one reason why I really wanted to do what I'm doing is because like you said, the shame around aging, around the changing body. I just thought, why in the world do we feel that way? Why does our culture make us feel bad that after 45, all of a sudden you're invisible, you're not desirable, you're not hireable? And I just thought part of what I want to do is just change that very, very that narrative around aging that we have in our country. And so the way I'm doing it is working with clients. And so we go through this process and they get that inner and outer confidence. And what I say to them when they graduate is, you are now an age ambassador. You need to go out and be the example. But also, if you're in a position of hiring, go hire a woman who is, 50 plus or whatever. Like, we really together need to lock arms and do it. So age ambassador is just what I've come up with, is that I call my clients. And so the thing is to get a lot of people be age ambassadors so we can really start changing this.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I feel a similar pull as a coach. Like, I can't be out there saving the world, doing all the things, but I can help empower women, each of my clients, to own their age and then take, or whatever it is that they're passionate about, and then take that out into the world, help them show up brighter, have a greater impact, and help
Exactly.
others, rise others with
Yeah,
them.
I mean, you and I are like the cheerleaders. I always say to everyone, it's like, I am like your cheerleader girlfriend. I'm sitting here, I'm helping you get all this together so then you go out and do whatever it is you're supposed to do and help us change this. So, yeah. So,
So the talking about purpose. So my whole, the title of this is called Pivot on Purpose. And I agree with you. We were talking and you mentioned that you think sometimes women get a little bit hung up on this term of purpose. Do you want to
mhm.
dive into a little bit what you would think on that, and what your perception is?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a couple of years ago. I think we met during the Playing Big, and Tara Moore. She was the one who introduced me to that idea of your purpose. We all think our purpose has to be that one thing that we do. It's our career, and it's this huge thing, and we have to make the money from it, and that's our purpose. And if all of a sudden you've grown out of that job, or you lose the job or whatever, you feel sort of lost, that you don't have that purpose anymore. And Tara is the one who said, your purpose doesn't have to be your career. It can just be a project. It can be something really small. It doesn't have to be something that you do full time, but it can change. And the thing that I realized is that the goal is to change. We never want to just get stuck in who we are. We want to grow and evolve and open, and with that comes different ideas and comes different opportunities. And so I think when you give up that idea that there has to be this, we can only have one purpose and it has to be enormous. When you you change that paradigm, there's a shift there. Then you start realizing it loosens you up a little.
It loosens you up because you get paralyzed because you can't define the one thing, right? Or the one thing is over. Like, I was a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, and my purpose was very definitely raising my children. Like, that was my purpose. But I intuitively knew that could not be my purpose. Was to focus, and then to be successful, to let them fly.
And then when being successful was the hard part, because you're like,
I know, which is the hard part. But like, I pre-saw that, so I was like, I need to have something for me, so that doesn't become my life's purpose, because it's shifted and it all changes. And I just think that is really important. And I also do agree that your vocation does not have to be your purpose, and it can be, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. But I think
it's about getting your values and priorities. Like, there's a lot of discussion now about quiet quitting, which is kind of like a negative term, but I actually think it's because people are clearer on their values and what they want, and maybe work is to pay the bills, and there are other priorities that they would rather be focused on right now.
I agree. But yeah, I think releasing, or really examining what you think about purpose and your relationship to what you think your purpose is. Is it over, or have you found it, or whatever? I think examining that and really releasing that stronghold we have on, I have to have a purpose. It can also be called a calling. You can rephrase it to another word, but it's that feeling like it's feeding you and it's feeding others, is sort of the way I put it.
Right. And that's why, like, when I thinking about this show on Pivot on Purpose, I would like to have people too whose pivot is having a creative project, or taking up art, or writing a book, or, because that is also a pivot, because it's a pivot on how you spend your time and how you're prioritizing yourself. So,
yeah. And it's sort of like, when you feel like you are giving back, but you're also feeding yourself. It's sort of like on the airplane, they say, put your mask on first. I mean, when you do that, then you're showing up differently. You're showing up in the world with that positive energy that really affects everyone around you. And that's a gift. That's really a gift too, I think. So,
yeah. So beautiful. So do you have any words of wisdom for women who have heard the call, or have this feeling that they want to try something new? Or
yeah, I mean, I can only speak. I mean, I've pivoted a couple of times, and it's usually come from, this one was a real serious one, but it just comes from that gut. It comes from that feeling. And I would say, don't jump on anything first. Don't say, oh, I found it, and then jump on it and, start. But like, really research, and really, I think, find other people who are maybe doing it, or go down the path slowly, in the sense that just test it, before you commit to something. Because I do think, it'd be sad if you thought, oh, well, this is it. And then you go down and all of a sudden you think, that's not it, and then you're going to get yourself kind of confused. I don't know. Did you find that at all?
When I work with my clients, I use a process of design thinking, and that's all about building up like kind of prototypes. So it's creating action to help you decide what you want to be. So instead of going and probably signing up to be a coach like I did, it might have been helpful if I could have had, some meetings with coaches to learn about what coaching was like, and what life was like, and how you make a living being a coach, or had an opportunity to learn a little bit about coaching and practice that to see if that was something that it ended up working out. And I think there are lots of ways that you can just kind of practice and talk to people so that you feel your way forward through action. Because I think if you get too in your head, you stay stuck, right? You're like, I can't figure it out.
Exactly.
But then sometimes you leap the wrong direction, which is fine. But then, it's a a waste of time and sometimes resources. So there's that both. And
But I do think like each day, taking an actionable step, just a little tiny step, just doing something to move forward. Don't try to build the perfect thing and then say, okay, this is it. Don't waste that time, because then you're going to get caught in that whole procrastination and
yeah,
perfection. And it has to be, you have to get in there and just try.
yeah,
Even if it's just making a phone call to somebody and saying,
right,
I'd like to interview you about this or whatever,
right.
just making those small little steps, doing the research, doing all that, then it's not so insurmountable, because we can build this thing in our head, and then there becomes that purpose again, that big thing. And it's not, it's just this little thing that you do step by step, I think.
Well, and then also I feel like it's so important to be reaching out. I think community, your helpers. I don't think we do these things alone. So taking action also helps you to connect with others. And I think that that helps you get into that flow that we were talking about. The
And
things.
then listening to your conversations that you're going to be having, listening to podcasts, people who have done things before, you get inspiration from that. And somebody's going to say something that's going to inspire you, or gives you an idea of, oh, I could do.
Right, right, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm keeping these short and sweet, but before we sign off, I want you to tell us a little bit about your ultimate wardrobe guide, which is a free gift you're giving everybody who watches. And I will put a link in the comments or whatever, wherever you're streaming this, I will somehow guide you to it.
Technical stuff.
Yeah, still figuring out the details of all of that, but I'll get that nailed down. But I would love to hear a little more about it. So
So many times people just come to me and they say, it's sort of like what you're saying, like, everything has changed and maybe I'm in a style rut, I don't know. And so I created this guide that really talks about the 3 reasons why we get in this rut. And so when you're in midlife and you want this, you know what, I'd kind of like to add a little pizzazz to my outfit, or my wardrobe is just not representing how I want to feel, I have this guide that goes through all those 3 different steps that can help you help, just sort of, it's a quick win, you sort of go, oh, that's why I do this. There's a little inventory, what items to have in your wardrobe and how to look at it. So anyway, thank you.
All right, awesome. I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
And if people want to connect with you, is Instagram the best place, or where would you like to send people?
I think Instagram is best. I mean, my Instagram is also tied to my Facebook page, but Instagram at A Year in Style _, is the what do you call it? A handle? Is that what we say?
Yes, it's your handle.
Instagram handle. But that's where I am mostly.
Yeah. I love your feed. You're beautiful and you travel. It's fun. You're fun to follow.
Okay, thank you.
We both have creative kids. They're doing crazy things. So that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is. That's a good life for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'm so appreciative for you taking the risk on coming on my first episode. And
absolutely.
And thanks for everybody who joined. And we'll see you next week.
Great.
Bye.
See you later.